Hello everyone. Today we are going to study Geography of Class 9. The book which I am referring is from Goyal Brothers Prakashan and the name of the author is Veena Bhargava. As we have already discussed the first chapter, now let's move on to the second chapter, Latitudes and Longitudes. Some parts of this chapter has already been dealt in your previous years, some of which are completely new to you and some are a bit old. So let's brush up your memory and proceed. Earth's spherical shape is best represented by a globe. The Earth is flattened at the poles and slightly bulged at the equator. Centrifugal force and gravity are responsible for its shape. It is an oblate spheroid in shape and is called the geoid. It is the only planet with life on it, with a vast equatorial circumference of approximately 40,075 kilometers. To find the exact location of a place on the globe, one has to use a map of network of parallels of latitudes and longitudes known as the Earth's grid. The Earth is divided into four hemispheres. The region north and south of the equator are called northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere respectively. So, let's now talk about the eastern hemisphere and the western hemisphere. The region east and west of the prime meridian longitude is called the eastern hemisphere and the western hemisphere respectively. There are four main directions: north, south, west and east. These are also known as the cardinal points, and these are indicated on every map and help us to locate the places on the globe. So, a complete network of parallels of latitude and meridians of longitude drawn on the map or globe is called the Earth's grid. Earth's grid enables us to determine the location of any point on Earth. Let's now talk about latitudes and longitudes. First, let's talk about latitudes. The latitude of a place is the angular distance of that place north or south of the equator as measured from the center of the earth. The lines of latitude are drawn parallel to the equator in circles and they grow smaller towards the poles. Thus, the great circle equator is the largest latitude and merely a point at the poles. Latitude of the equator is 0 degree and that of the poles are 90 degree north and 90 degrees south in north and south respectively. It is measured either to the north or to the south of the equator and are accordingly specified as N or S. Each latitude is an imaginary circle parallel to the equator and centered on the polar axis. Therefore, these are called parallels of latitude. Altogether, there are 180 parallels at 1 degree interval, that is 90 to the north of the equator and 90 to the south of the equator. While equator is taken as 0 degree latitude and is the only great circle. The radius and the length of the parallels gradually decrease from its maxima at the equator to the minima at the poles. As the circumference of the earth is approximately 40,000 kilometers and the earth represents 360 degrees, so if we do the math, that is 40,000 divided by 360 equals to 111 kilometer. So the distance between each latitude is approximately 111 kilometers. Now let's talk about the five main parallels of latitude. The five main parallels of latitude are the equator, the Tropic of Cancer, the Tropic of Capricorn, Arctic Circle and Antarctic Circle. Equator. The 0 degree latitude divides the earth into two equal halves. This is the only great circle and all the others are smaller circles. The distance from equator to the pole is approximately 10,000 kilometers. All the latitudes run parallel to the equator towards north and south. The rays of the sun fall vertically over the equator almost throughout the year. The distance between each parallel is 111 kilometers to the north and south of the equator. Tropic of Cancer. The 23.5 degree north latitude is important as the sun is overhead on 21st June on this latitude, making it the longest day in the northern hemisphere. Next is Tropic of Capricorn. The 23.5 degree south latitude is the southernmost limit of the apparent movement of the sun. The sun is overhead at this latitude on December 22nd. It experiences the longest day on December 22nd as it is summer in the southern hemisphere when the sun shines directly overhead on the Tropic of Capricorn. Next is the Arctic Circle. It is the 66.5 degree north latitude. This latitude is important because the area within this circle receives oblique rays of the sun. Because of the inclination of its axis, it experiences 6 months of day and 6 months of night. Next is the Antarctic Circle. Conditions within this circle are the same as those in the Arctic Circle. North and South Pole mark the 90-degree north and 90-degree south latitudes in the form of points. Sun's rays do not reach here except when the sun is overhead on the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. The next subpart of this topic is the importance of latitudes. Life exists only on Earth and it is possible because of various phenomena closely related to climate and vegetation. Latitudes along with longitudes enable us to spot the whereabouts of the various places on the Earth's surface. Equator, the 0 degree latitude, is the only great circle because it passes through the exact center of the Earth and divides it into two equal halves. All other latitudes are the small circles, whereas all the meridians of the longitude are great circles. The sailors and aircrafts all over the world use the great circle route to save time and fuel. These great circle routes are drawn between the 2 points with reference to their latitude and longitude. The five main parallels of latitudes also mark the main climatic zones of the Earth because of their position with reference to the apparent movement of the sun. These are also called the temperate zones or heat zones. Now let's study about the different temperate or the heat zones. The heat zones starting from the North Pole to the South Pole are the North Frigid Zone, the North Temperate Zone, the Torrid or Tropical Zone, the South Temperate Zone, and the Frigid Zone. Let's now talk about the Torrid or the Tropical Zone. This zone lies between the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn, which mark the limit of the overhead sun to north and south of the equator. That is from 23.5 degree north to 23.5 degree south, with equator dividing it into North Torrid Zone and South Torrid Zone. The areas between 5 degree north to 5 degree south of the equator are called doldrums or equatorial zones and are areas of low pressure because they receive direct rays of the sun. Next, let's talk about the temperate zones. The North Temperate Zone, that is which lies from 23.5 degree north to 66.5 degree north, and the South Temperate Zone, which lies from 23.5 degrees south to 66.5 degrees south, stretch from the torrid zone to the frigid zone. Here, the climate is moderate, that is, neither too hot nor too cold. This area does not receive direct rays of the sun. It receives slant rays of the sun. Hence, there is a great difference between the summer and the winter temperature conditions, thus affecting the weather changes which mostly occur within this region. More than half of the human population stays in this region because the temperature conditions are ideal for living. Let's now talk about the frigid zones. The region between the Arctic Circle to North Pole and Antarctic Circle to the South Pole is extremely cold. Because of the inclination of the axis, this area in the north and south of the equator receives very slant rays during the winter. Here, the sun's rays cover a much larger area and lose heat in the process. In fact, in these regions, we have about 9 months of winter during 1 year, and this area remains frozen for the major part of the year. Hence, they are named as frigid zones. Now, let's read about the second part of the Earth's grid, that is, the longitude. The longitude of a place is the angular distance of that place east or west of the prime meridian. These lines are called meridians, meaning midday, as all the places on the same meridians have their noon at the same time. Unlike latitudes, where equator is the only great circle dividing the earth into two halves, all meridians are complete circles dividing the earth into eastern and western hemispheres. Thus, the 180-degree longitude and the prime meridian together form one complete circle. The 180-degree longitude is known as the International Date Line. The longitudes are drawn 1 degree apart on the equator with 1 degree to 179 degrees towards east and 1 degree to 179 degrees towards west. Thus, on the globe, we see 360 semicircles drawn through the equator and converging at the poles, north and south, as points. Now, let's come to the importance of longitudes. Firstly, we fix the location of a certain place on the Earth's surface using both latitude and longitude.
This is done with the help of a network of latitudes and longitudes, also known as the grid. The position of all the places on the surface of the earth are determined.
Secondly, all the meridians of the longitudes are great circles as they divide Earth into two halves, eastern and western hemisphere. There can be infinite or innumerable longitudes, but for our convenience, only 360 meridians are drawn at 1 degree apart on the equator. The shortest distance between 2 points on the Earth's surface is the arc of the Great Circle. So, what is the importance of the Great Circle routes? The first one is, since Great Circle routes are the shortest distance between the two places on the Earth and lie on the arc of the Great Circle, they are used mainly to save fuel and time, as it is very economical. Hence, it is the most advantageous for aircrafts over the North Polar regions. Sailors on the sea also use it wherever it is possible and as long as it does not lead them to unsafe waters. Now, let's study something about the time and the date. So, I'm starting this part with the Greenwich Mean Time. The 0 degree meridian passes through the Royal Astronomical Observatory at Greenwich Village near London. It is called the Prime Meridian. In 1884, it was decided by international agreement to adopt the local time of prime meridian, that is 0 degrees worldwide, by all the countries and international airlines. Hence, when the sun is directly overhead at 0 degree longitude and it is 12 o'clock noon there, the international time is calculated east or west of the prime meridian with the reference to this time. Since the earth rotates west to east, the places situated towards the east of the prime meridian will have evening, while places towards the west will have morning when it is at noon at the prime meridian. As we know that the earth takes 24 hours to run through 360 degrees, the sun appears to move at the rate of 15 degrees in 1 hour, that is 360 degrees in 24 hours or 1 degree in 4 minutes. Therefore, one can say the sun is overhead each meridian after 4 minutes. It is noon at all places on the longitude when the sun is overhead, and it is also known as the local time of that longitude. So, the local time of a place can be calculated if we know the longitude of the place. Suppose a place is situated on the eastern side of the prime meridian. So, first we have to know the longitude of that particular place. If we will multiply that longitude with 4, then we'll get the exact time of that particular place. Similarly, if a place is situated on the western half of the prime meridian, then we have to subtract that much amount from the time which is given to us. Every country follows a standard time, and in India, we follow the local time through our central meridian, that is 82.5 degrees east, which passes through Prayagraj. So, the Indian Standard Time or the IST is 5 hours and 30 minutes ahead of the Greenwich Mean Time. Nepal and Sri Lanka have the same time zone as of India. The difference between the Indian Standard Time and the Greenwich Mean Time is 330 minutes or 5.5 hours. This means that when it is noon at England, it is 5:30 p.m. in India. Some countries such as the USA, Canada, Australia and Russia, which have a vast east to west extent, have several time zones. For example, Canada has 6 time zones, Russia has as many as 11 time zones, and USA has 6 time zones. Let's come to the last part of this chapter, that is the international date line. The history of the international date line dates back to 1522 when Magellan's crew reached home after circumnavigating the world for the first time by ship. They thought it was 5th September, but actually they reached on 6th September. This is because a peculiar situation arises at the meridian 180 degrees. When we travel east of this line, it is referred to as 180 degree east. And when we travel west of this line, it is referred to 180 degree west. On either side of this line, a difference of one whole day is observed. This is because the earth completes one rotation on its axis in 24 hours as it moves from west to east. Therefore, for the convenience of those traveling around the world, the international date line has been established. A ship crossing the 180 degree meridian while traveling from west to east on 25th December will add one day. That is, it will be 26th December. Whereas crossing from east to west, it will repeat the same day and date again. Hence, it will be taken as 25th December. Meridian 180 was chosen as the international date line because it passes through the middle of the Pacific Ocean and there is practically no landmass. And wherever there is landmass, a deviation has been taken. Thus, a zigzag line at roughly 180-degree meridian has been internationally accepted for rectification of the date, and therefore it is called the International Date Line. Thank you everyone for being with me in my journey of latitudes and longitudes. Have a nice day. If you have any questions or queries related to this topic, please ask in the comment box.